This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.
Here we go, Sunday afternoon hoops. Has to be match of the round when Melbourne United and the Sydney Kings come together. But I want to talk about Chris Goulding. He's a veteran, but he's still a superstar. Made 19 three-pointers in 2 games for the Boomers, if you don't mind. So therefore, the Sportsbet traders have come up with an absolute beauty for us. $5 for Chris Goulding, CG43, to make 3 or more threes in any quarter across the game. As soon as he hits that first triple, you start to get excited. Have a look for that one under the match betting. Melbourne United and the Sydney Kings.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
The kick-off round 7. It's the 2 heavyweights. Let this get underway. Krebs. He's going it over now. That's going to hurt. Fast break for Clark. Can't finish, but there's Whites.
How are we winning this? Gotta communicate.
Ball has Oliver, who throws it down. Again, the little handoff gives it off to Cooks. United find themselves trailing. Goulding crams in a bit of space. It makes the Kings pay. Great find for Cole Bowen. In it for play. We're all locked up. That's a good find for White, who's been white hot. Finds White again. Oh, wow. Oh, he brings the crowd to their feet. Melbourne United have weathered the storm. They came up clutch.
Hello and welcome to a sold-out John Cain Arena. The ladder leaders, Melbourne United, taking on their cross-town rival, cross-state rival, the Sydney Kings. I'll tell you what, there is bad blood between these two teams. First versus fourth, and the Melbourne United, they've had the wood over the Sydney Kings. 13 of the last 16 in this venue have gone the way of Melbourne United. But this Sydney Kings team, Derek Rucker, Andrew Gaze, it is built to win basketball games.
It certainly was, and they were the pre-season favourites by most experts, but that hasn't gone their way throughout the course of the regular season. Brian Goorjian still trying to figure things out with his rotations and some of his schemes, but this fever break, I thought it would have done him the world of good to get the little bit more organisation within his team.
Well, Sydney are number 1 in the league in defense, Melbourne United number 2 in offense. Sydney struggle to score points on the road. They only shoot 42% away from Kudos Bank Arena. Dean Vickerman prepares his teams as well as any coach in NBL history when they've had a break.
And Melbourne United back with a full-strength roster. Jack White back into the lineup. But Chris Goulding, he was on fire before the fever break, and now it went international over there in Thailand and Korea.
Well, Thailand and Korea did not get the scouting report. Who would have thought with a veteran, he's 36 years of age, but 19 three-point field goals made was extraordinary in these 2 games. And although, let's just say the defense was perhaps a little suboptimal.
Stop hating. 19 threes is 19 threes.
Well, that's it. Despite it not being elite defense, you still got to put the ball in the hole. And look at that from the car park, Chris Goulding getting it done, Derek. So it was he's in some fantastic form at the moment.
Well, the Korean defense might have been suboptimal. The Sydney Kings certainly not so. They were back in fine form on Friday night.
They were, and it wasn't the most impressive victory, but the fact is they went up there, got a much-needed victory, shut the Taipans down defensively, and again, we saw good performances from Cam Oliver and Jalen Adams.
Brian Goorjian pre-game on Friday has said if we can't get Cam Oliver where he needs to go, we won't be able to get where we need to go. And Andrew Gaze, he hit form with 26 points.
He did, and it was a good start. He had 10 early points, and I think that's going to be the key, to get his mind right, get him the ball, get him some looks, and when he's get that confidence up, the inside-outside game, you can see the fade away on the low block, and he is an elite athlete that can play above the rim. Hellacious! I'm putting that in the hellacious category because that was special.
And it looks like Cam Oliver has gotten over some of the early season complaints. Attitude, body language. If he can perform without those things being an issue, he is an elite level performer, Andrew.
Well, we're in for a treat today because one of the best trash talkers in the league is mic'd up with Harvey Norman in the zone.
shot, Zay. That's the one. That was the one.
That was the one?
That was the one. Hey, the fam's here? Oh, you ready to go then, huh? Quick trigger, quick trigger.
Well, from a trash talker to a smooth talker, Jack Everett, take it away.
I was very nervous with what was coming after that, Felix. Thank you very much. Great to be with you for Sunday Hoops. Just about a sellout here at John Cain Arena. Here's the Melbourne United starting five with Jack White back in, as you saw on screen. A calf injury just before the FIBA break, and I guess if you're going to get injured, a calf injury just before the break is a good time to get it. And for the Sydney Kings, coming off a win Friday night in Cairns against the Taipans, Sean Bruce started in that game, and he'll be out there starting as well. Derek Rucker, Andrew Gaze alongside me. And the logic, I guess, for Sean Bruce starting, Ruck, is that they want Jalen Adams to play more as a two-guard, more off the ball.
Sean Bruce had excellent numbers early in the season, then went through a period where he didn't get a chance to really perform. He gets that chance now. He's got to lead this Kings team.
Our officials this afternoon, Vaughan Mabry, Ruben Woolcock and Nico Fernandez. We are underway at John Cain Arena. Gee, it's got a big game feel, Andrew Gaze.
It certainly does, and obviously a little bit more at stake for the Sydney Kings, given their position on the ladder. But after all the emotion that the Melbourne United have been through the last couple of weeks, they'd be keen to keep their season rolling on with the wins.
Yeah, I went away for a week. Did I miss anything?
There it is.
Dellavedova running the point. Golding has the hot hand at the moment. Here, abroad, he can shoot from the North Pole to South Pole, or from Mars. He's knocking him down.
Unacceptable by the Sydney Kings. Have you not seen what this guy's been up to lately, Drewy?
No, it was way too easy of a shot for Chris Golding in the form that he's in.
Adams had to defer to Sean Bruce, who was quiet on Friday night. That's a big start for him.
One of the best true shooting percentages in the competition. Didn't shoot it well on Friday night. He'll be keen to avenge that performance, and already he's into some people with the talk.
Oh, he's mic'd up for us today, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Looked like he had a few words to say to Coach Dean Vickerman as he come back after dropping that three.
He'll talk to anyone. One of us might get sprayed before the end of today.
It's going to be a fun game too.
Adams got some space. Screen from Cooks.
The thing about Melbourne United, they play at the quickest pace of any team in the competition. They want to get up and down. They test the defensive transition of every team in the competition more than anyone else. It's Shea Yelly, who is front and centre with that melee that took place against the Adelaide 36ers, knocks down the three ball.
Cam Oliver, pick and pop, exposes Rob Lowe, and he can step out and shoot it.
Well, both of these teams can really let it go from the three-point line. Sydney lead the league in attempts per game as Rob Lowe steps in.
Well, they do. Melbourne United number 2, and Jack White showing off some of his beautiful DNA and athleticism.
Back out there today, just missed the one game with a calf injury in the end. Such a dynamic season. 5 of his last 7 games, Jack White, he's had 10 or more rebounds. Oliver for his second three of the first quarter. It's unsuccessful. White kept that alive, but Cooks was waiting. Bruce was waiting for it, and Cooks is fouled over the back.
And one of the early numbers that we got to keep an eye on is rebounding. Sydney are a very poor defensive rebounding team, and consequently, their overall rebounding suffers. However, Andrew, they're very good on the offensive glass.
Well, they are, and the Sydney Kings, and I'm surprised we haven't seen some adjustments as far as what they're doing on the offensive end, because as you mentioned, Derek, they lead the league in three-point field goal attempts per game, but they are stone cold motherly when it comes to makes.
Yeah.
Their percentages.
Well, sometimes from the three-point line, Drew, you can just go with the volume philosophy.
Well, percentages don't lie, though.
They don't?
And,
it's funny, speaking of the volume theory, it worked well for you two.
Yeah, but I dare say our percentages were reflective of attempts taken.
Thank you.
Golding, room to fire.
Outrageous. outrageous.
How can you make that mistake? If you want to make any mistake, the default must be a double team and make him get rid of the basketball, not leave him wide open.
Bull Qual with that defensive assignment. He's had a couple of breakdowns early. Sean Bruce for another three. And he's talking a whole lot of smack too.
It's a good start, and they've needed it as well.
Nice pass inside. Dellavedova for low. What a find.
Amidst all the brilliance of Chris Goulding over the past 5 to 6 weeks, Matthew Dellavedova's play has been overlooked. I believe he's having his best season as a pro. Shooting numbers reflect that also. Uh-oh. That's the magical end, Jack.
Stuff seems to happen at that end, doesn't it? Delhi and Creek a few years ago.
Well, here's an interesting one. We see Xavier Cooks checking out real early in this contest, and Alex Tui, who coming off only 6 minutes played against the Cairns Taipans, and a lot of unusual rotations we've seen from the Sydney Kings. It's been highly unpredictable throughout the entire season.
Lowe got away from Oliver. Scores and one.
Well, both the on-ball and off-ball defense has not been great. A little bit of push and shove. But that's just way too easy. Have a look at this. It's kind of like a flex cut. Carms just slips out of it, and Cam Oliver's got to do better. Basic fundamentals: stance position, see ball, see man. And Rob Lowe, I know he can hit the three ball, but he's sort of not the guy that you need to lose vision on.
Oliver comes out of the game, and it hasn't taken Melbourne United fans long to latch onto a new villain.
Well, that's his second foul, and he was looking engaged in the game. Now Sydney, a height disadvantage Sydney will have to really shore up on the defensive end and the glass.
Big minutes for Kelly Lepepe to be played in this first half. Here he is on cue. That's a great way to start.
And Andrew, I thought when he was starting earlier in the year, that wasn't the correct move, but then to totally relegate him to DNPs, I thought that was an overcorrection in the wrong way.
Been a little hard to keep up with it all. Golding the extra pass inside for White. Let's throw that one out of play.
It is. It's not easy what Lepepe just did.
No.
He was in the game for literally 5 seconds and launches a three. Here's the kick out. You can see it's a soft closeout on Lepepe, who only shooting it at 28% from the three-point line.
Melbourne by one. Adams coughs it up. Dellavedova flips it over for Lowe.
And he's talking about Bruce coming in because you want Adams to play off the ball. He's had some bad moments in situations that he should do better. Now this one, he's just out the front playing with his food a little bit too much and pays the price, but there's been big moments where he's made some ball handling errors, which a player of his capacity shouldn't be making.
Let's go. One.
Kawatnoy also getting ready to check in. Another who we didn't see a lot of on Friday night in the first half. Lowe makes the second.
Well, we know with Kawatnoy, you put him in the microwave for 3 seconds and he's fully heated up.
Any confusion here about how many are on the court. Everyone counts to 5 and away we go. Azalea Arthur also into the game for his first minutes. He's been averaging 27 minutes a game since round 6. Just look for Adams. He's unsuccessful. 0 of 2 to start the afternoon. Goulding away from Tui. He can't miss.
He's in the wrong league at the moment. This last month, he is playing at a Steph Curry rate with some of the field goals he's making.
Well, you look globally, Andrew, and He is one of the top 3 form three-point shooters in the world, no matter what league we're looking at.
No foul there. Adams knocks it away from Golding. Noy on the drive. Gets that to drop. An important bucket for Sydney, just as Melbourne started to build some momentum. Here's Flynn Cameron, uber talented young New Zealander. Nice pass for Kyle Bowen.
Well, Andrew, we're getting a taste of the Melbourne United death right there, with Cameron and Bowen combining on that pick and roll, and Leapa lets one go. No good. But then we're about to get Lee and Clark check into the game.
The depth of both of these two teams is something to behold. Here's Golding again. Not that time.
Everything looks like it's going in when it leaves his hands at the moment, Andrew.
I think he's thinking that way too, Ruck.
A great space to be in.
He doesn't look rushed at all. And that's a good drive by Noy getting to the rim, but sometimes even the great shooters, they can look a little hurried when they're letting it go, but the timing on his shot is just been spot on.
Subs for both teams. 3:34 remaining in this first quarter. Well, blowout. Golding out as well. Tanner Krebs, Ian Clark, Marcus Lee all check in. Golding sits down with 9 points in the first quarter on 3 of 4.
Andrew, both teams understand the importance. Both benches are up and engaged into the game. Coaches coaching this thing like it's game 5 of the championship series.
There's only a quick spell for Lepepe because Cam Oliver comes straight back in.
Risky.
Playing with 2 fouls. Big test of discipline for one of Sydney's best. Tyler Robinson also out there for the Kings. Bowen catch and shoot 3. Rebound by the Australian next star, Alex Toohey. Changed the game in the third quarter on Friday night. He went to the rack and was blocked by Lee, but it's cleaned up by Oliver.
I like that play in transition. Drag screen, Toohey takes advantage of it, gets to the rack, creates an offensive rebounding opportunity for Oliver.
Back-to-back buckets now for Sydney. Let's take another look here. Alex Toohey making things happen.
Tries to go up with the inside hand left finish, no good, but because of the help defense, Andrew, provides an easy opportunity for Oliver.
Tangerine timeout. It's Melbourne who lead by 1, and Cam Oliver was excellent on Friday night against Cairns, had 18 points and 16 rebounds. He caught up with Steph Baumgartel pre-game, but looks like he was already getting a bit of attention pre-game.
Gorge said the fever break came at a great time for the team. How did you utilise that time to reset?
I definitely took it into consideration, for sure. I think we all kind of did. We didn't really take that long of, we didn't take that long of a break for that long. We probably took like 2 or 3 days, but after that we got back to it. Oh my God, it's a fly in my face, I'm sorry.
What do you take from the Cairns clash into this afternoon's match?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
It's so bothering me right now. I'm sorry, guys.
Pause the fly to leave you alone.
Yeah, hope it does.
I'll just come back again. If it's time to introduce.
Okay, cool. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Chris Golding's obviously been in fine form for United. Ooh, start that again.
Got you. Come on, I'm sorry.
Wow, there's a play going on here in Melbourne, I'm sure of it. I was
stay in it.
out doing the gardening, playing some golf this weekend, and it is outrageous with those flies, that fly situation. I don't know we need Peebo.
I think
it's spread over the whole city.
I think it's
Still sell Peebo.
I think it's a change of season, though, Andrew. I'm not sure about your rationale there.
Have you considered your own hygiene at any stage?
Oh, wow.
The Peebo,
Yeah,
that's great.
I know what it is. Just haven't seen it in a long time, that's all. 21-20. Krebs takes a look at the clock, has got 3 seconds to work with, drives all the way in and scores.
He's had a good season, Andrew.
It is, and then you think of Brian George and you think of defense, and right now I don't think he's going to be all that thrilled with what he's seeing in the first quarter. There's been some breakdowns on some players, and that's another example of it down that end.
Toohey for 3. Ties this thing up.
Well, Jack, it might be a matter of just trying to keep this thing close. And as Drew said, maybe the defense kicks in at some point. He's got a sloppy one there from Shea.
And the other thing is, can they sustain this 3-point shooting? 5 of 8. Have a look at the Amy replay. Kick out. And Toohey gets one to fall. Good penetration, good find.
shooting it a lot better than they did on Friday night. They were 5 of 20 from beyond the arc in far north Queensland, Sydney.
Well, they win by 6, and
yeah,
Cairns shot it at 28%. You'd think if you hold a team at 28%, you'd have a bit more of a margin than that.
White in transition, misses the layup. And Sydney pushed the tempo at the other end. Kawat Noi from deep. It's no good either. Both teams are going to fire away. Krebs got past Robertson again. This time stuffs it.
Smart decision right there. Get Cam Oliver in the on ball. See what he's able to do there. He provided no resistance and turned the corner for the dunk.
Oliver in the mid-range. Takes care of another rebound. That's 6 already in the opening quarter for Jack White, one of the league's leading rebounders. Illy up and under. No foul. And while Melbourne are arguing the point, Sydney are once again exploring in the opening few seconds of a shot clock. Oliver with the mismatch. Lee put it into the stands, but the bucket will count.
Nice effort there from Marcus Lee to try and get after it. You really got nothing to lose. High percentage shot there from Oliver.
And he makes a statement too.
Right.
I remember the legendary coach John Thompson with Georgetown when he had Patrick Ewing, that he actually went out there and told Patrick Ewing, just go out there and goaltend and make that statement early in the game. And I'm not sure it's going to have too much effect on this one.
No. And as we saw in the replay, the ball was definitely on its downward flight as Clark gets in, misses.
Former Sydney King, a championship winner. It's our first look at him in the NBL. It was as a Sydney King and Clark. Get the ball back here. 5 turnovers in the opening quarter for both teams. That probably talks to the pressure that's out there in this first quarter.
And I think Sydney needs to get Xavier Cooks involved a little bit more on the offensive end. It doesn't mean he needs to shoot it, but let him make some plays, let him be a focal point, and see if he can get himself going. He's taken no shots yet.
Clark. Rebound by Robertson. Watch Malawatch, also on the floor, former Melbourne United player. Oh, Cook slips over.
What do you got on the floor? Xavier, you're up. You're up.
Seems to be okay.
Get a jump ball.
Sweat out on the floor. Let's have another look.
Here.
It didn't look like he slid.
No.
He lost his balance.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he did slip a little.
Everything blue. Thank you. Right here. Strong cut.
Legendary coach Brian Goorjian. Back in Melbourne where it all started.
It's a good call to make too with Cooks. He had to take a field goal attempt.
It looks like he's trying to force it a little here. Jack White picked it off.
Go side.
Shot clock, game clock as one. It'll be Melbourne to finish the quarter. Down to 7. Great D from Cooks, but Clark had the answer. He scores. Oh! Tyler Robertson from 3-quarter court. That is unbelievable.
Did it count? Did he get it off? They'll review it. But that is just throwing one up and having the hoop gods answer the question. Did he get it off?
Yes.
That is one of the plays of the season. Points are going to count. And it's Sydney who lead at quarter time, 28-27, as Tyler Robertson throws one in from Swan Street. This is Sunday Hoops in the Hungry Jacks NBL.
Let's go.
just find something. Quick action.
Sean Bruce, our Harvey Norman in the zone player mic'd up this afternoon. What a wild end of that first quarter. Ian Clark with a bucket with 2 seconds to go, and then Tyler Robertson throws one in from a long way out, and Sydney lead at quarter time.
An outstanding first quarter. A number of turnovers, too many for each coach to be happy, but a high-quality game nonetheless as Melbourne United start the quarter with a nice offensive set and draw a foul on the Sydney Kings.
It is, and plays like that, you see the value of Chris Golding and the way in which he's going to be guarded can open things up. And that can be the greatest compliment a player can have, is how good of a decoy can you be.
And guys like Rob Lowe and Kyle Bowen and Marcus Lee, they benefit most because they're smart players. They read the ball well and they understand who they're playing with and how much attention those guys draw. Or in this case, Chris Golding.
Leading scorer in the game so far, Chris Golding has 9 on 3 of 4. Rob Lowe has 7. Cam Oliver is Sydney's leading scorer with 7. Not out on the floor at the moment. Lepepe threw a closeout this time around and bangs in on Golding. Lowe takes care of the rebound. Out there with Cameron, Bowen, Dellavedova, and also Golding for Melbourne United. Golding be shooting 3.
And that's one of the side effects, Andrew, of shooting the ball so effectively from the three-point line. Guys race out to you out of control and commit poor decisions like this, create contact, and now you're going to the line to shoot 3. Malawach gets caught up on that screen.
Yeah, he's you're going to need some help. You expose yourself for slips, but Lowe's got to do a better job. When that back screen's coming, you've got to know it's there so you can try and fight over the top. So you don't require that much help, because if you get that separation and you've got Chris Golding in the type of form he is in, you're always going to be playing catch-up.
What?
He was and was forced to foul.
He's a 90% free throw shooter for the season. Chris Golding coming into today.
And all of his shooting splits will continue to improve. Remember, he got off to a fairly slow start to the season, was dealing with a sickness and an ankle injury. But over the past 4 to 5 rounds, we've seen the true superstar, CG43.
Teams played in round 7 here at John Cain Arena. It was Melbourne who won by 4 on a Thursday night. 18 lead changes in that game. Lepepe wide open. Great ball movement from the Kings.
Well, they're trading offense for their defense right now, because look at the lineup the Sydney Kings have got on the floor. This is small across the board. They've basically got 3 point guards on the floor at the same time. And Lepepe, although he's big, he's only probably 198. And they're just hoping that Lepepe keep this form up and spread the floor.
Steph Baumgartner, you're listening to Gorge at quarter time.
It was all about being aggressive in the Sydney camp. He said keep diving for the ball and let Melbourne see bodies.
Well, I don't think he'd have any complaints with the aggression. Maybe some of the defensive decision-making, Andrew. It's, you know, they're down 4. It's not the worst situation, but it could also get ugly quickly.
Well, it can, and turnovers is something that could be upsetting as well. That's number 8 now. That's too many.
Still to come this afternoon, Perth and New Zealand in RAC Arena. Keanu Pinder has been ruled out of that game today. That's where we're headed straight after this one. Dellavedova, great look. Offensive rebound by Kyle Bowen. Cameron tries his luck with a hand in the face.
Right now, signs are getting a bit ominous. Melbourne United are 60% from the field with 2 offensive rebounds, so there's not a lot of empty possessions right now. Sydney's just got to do a better end defense, better job on the defensive end.
And it's the quality of looks that they're getting.
Lepepe again. He's shooting the lights out. Kelly Lepepe.
He's like, I'm taking full advantage of this opportunity because it might go away quickly.
He's got 9 points, but there's his opposite number, Rob Lowe. A pick and pop of his own.
See, to me, that's what Rob Lowe does. He's a pick and pop guy. He can shoot the 3-ball, and there was no one within a couple of meters of Rob Lowe when he shot that one.
Continue to trade buckets, these two, and Sean Bruce fumbles it again. It's 2 turnovers in the quarter.
Well, Jack, Melbourne United have hit 7 3-balls. I estimate, Andrew, 4 of those have been off of poor decision-making or fundamental defensive errors by the Kings.
The Tangerine timeout, 41-34 here at John Cain Arena. Pre-game, we do have to get here quite early, obviously, and there's a lot of things that we have to go through, and rehearsals, checks, all that sort of stuff. But this captured the attention of our camera men and women and our team behind the scenes before the game. This is Andrew Gaze. I mean, he's a man of the people, of course, so he's out there signing autographs, and everyone wants an autograph, except for this young man, who didn't have anything else to sign, Ruck, so he said, here, sign my croc.
Oh, that's awesome.
He did whisper to me, I'll be a big W on the weekend to pick me up myself a pair of Gazies. He did actually say that to me.
Yeah.
And he said, I appreciate that they're only $39 and that's outstanding value.
Can we stop?
I'm absolutely certain he didn't say any of that.
I did. He did. He saw my shoes and he said he was going to get in there and get some for him.
Andrew Gaze, the man that no one hates.
No, Ruck, you ever sign anything a bit different? Join us after 10 for that answer. There's our Reebok influence the seats this afternoon. Sold out crowd at John Cain Arena as well. Alice Squire's in the house, Guides of Pay also in the house. Jump online, check them out.
Styling.
Amazing work that they do, yeah.
Styling, boy, looking good over there in the Reebok seats.
A couple of very, very big names, including an NBA name we'll get to shortly as well. Not a spare seat in the house today. When Melbourne and Sydney get together, it's always a blockbuster. Golding putting on a show. He's got 14.
Took advantage of Cam Oliver. They had 2 mismatches inside and outside. Golding decides to go on his own and uses a beautiful step-through move in the paint to finish.
They can't stop him. Adams ran into a brick wall. Melbourne pushed the tempo. Illy's showing some tricks of his own.
Danger.
Yeah, the alarm bells will be ringing, and they were before that last time out, and there hasn't been the appropriate response. But this is what happens when you're in white-hot form. They're going to jump at any time he fakes because they know that he's so efficient with his scoring, and down the other end, that's just really poor defensive transition and leads to an uncontested layup. And I'm not offering any excuse for the Sydney Kings, but they just don't look all that prepared on the defensive end, and having them take that flight, come from Cairns, probably haven't had a lot of time to spend on the floor to prepare for this one.
Which ordinarily for this Sydney team, it's been their calling card across the season. All of their defensive metrics, Ruck, they all stack up.
They do. As we know, they're #1 in the league in defensive rating, and they did a good job on Friday night on that end of the floor, but this is a different type of ball club right here. Chris Golding knocks down another one. His 4th 3-ball of the game. He's got 17. United up by 12. Wow.
He's cooking all over again. Oliver with the catch off the lob.
Andrew, we played in many, many big games like this. As we look at the Amy replay, Oliver again gets caught in a switch. Tui doesn't attack aggressively enough. And this is just too easy right now.
Switching right there. See Cam Oliver now, there was a switch that he initially got on. But if you're guarding him, you can't afford to run into a screen. You've got to stay locked in and fight over the top and just stay connected. Run him off the 3-point line. And yeah, it might open up other things, but when you've got a guy that's white hot like this,
right,
he is just getting too many good looks.
But Drew, this is a barometer game for the Sydney Kings. They went up, and as we mentioned, they weren't great in Cairns, but they got the win. Now they come down here, and you find out what you're made of in a game like this on the road.
Yeah, and early on it was their, as we mentioned, it was their three-point shooting and their work from the perimeter on the offensive end that was keeping them in it. But now, as their offense dries up a little, they haven't had the answers on the defensive end.
48-37 at John Cain Arena. Melbourne having the better of this second term. Tyler Robertson tees off.
Not a good shot. As Andrew writhes in agony next to me.
Look out. He cannot miss.
I'm not sure we've seen a hotter spell from an individual player in the history of the NBL from the three-point line. This is, if you combine what he did with the national team in the FIBA window, where he made 19 threes. But again, see Cam Oliver, that's just, you can't do that. This is not a regular player. You just got to stay connected the entire time.
But as a team, Sydney have to do a better job in not allowing these cross matches to occur in transition, where Oliver keeps getting caught up with Chris Goulding.
Here he comes again. That time he thought he was fouled and probably had a case to answer. Melbourne have got all of the answers.
The no call on the assault led to a Jack White dunk.
The assault may be just putting a little bit of mayo on it.
Oh, what?
16 is the lead. Cam Oliver with an important bucket for Sydney.
And it's a big bucket, but if they're just going to rely on blazing away from the three-point line, then it's going to be a long night for them.
And Andrew, we've danced around this subject, but it's starting to be more telling as the season progresses. Sydney are too small.
Well, right now, it's not just their size, and you're right. I think overall they're missing it, but Xavier Cooks has only played 9 minutes. There's the owner of the NBL, Larry Kesselman.
And his beautiful mother, Svetlana. There's a great piece on the NBL website and all the NBL socials. The woman who saved the NBL. Larry Kesselman, of course, credited with rebuilding the NBL, but it was his mother, Svetlana, we learnt during the week, that said, Larry, you have to do something. Mum always knows best.
God love her. We appreciate that. Appreciate her motivating the son to go to the wallet and saving the NBL.
I think as basketball fans, we all do. Oliver steps out. That is missing by a considerable margin.
Well, Andrew, yeah, true, but he's got 11 points, and who else are you going to get it from right now?
Context of the game, though, it's just running up and down and playing a high-paced game. They've given up 55 points, and we've still got 3.5 minutes to go.
Well, lucky it wasn't another alley-oop.
There might have been some hand action there, but it's the leg is the dominant action.
Oliver comes out of the game. And I've got to say the body language for the Sydney Kings bench, which is not that far from where we sit, is not great right now, Ruck.
It started well, and they're up and about, and the free balls are rolling.
Kwadnoy tries his luck, he's fouled. Jack White picks up his second in 60 seconds.
And to your point, Jack, generally as a long-standing rule, Andrew, when you have 2 games in a round, you want to split, especially when they're 2 games on the road. You're happy to get away with a victory and a loss. Standard operating procedure in the National Basketball League.
It's kind of par for the weekend for the top teams.
However, if Sydney were to lose this game in a bad way, that rule goes out the window. This would be considered a bad weekend for them.
Well, it will negate.
More than negate, in my opinion.
Some of the importance of their win the other night. But like I said, they won by, what was it?
6.
Won by 6 against a team that shot 28%. It wasn't like they played great basketball. And they're being so far in this first half. Now, we know things can change in the NBL this season. That's what makes it one of the beauties of the competition. And it can change in the second half. But right now, the basis for them competing against the best team in the competition, I believe anyway, is not there. And there's an example of it.
Well, Sydney got away with it last time when they ran it the opposite way and they called the offensive foul on Jack White. Now they flip the script and White goes up and knocks it down. throws it down.
Melbourne are clinical at the offensive end of the floor and dominant at the defensive end. 14-point lead. It could become a whole lot worse for Sydney in the last 2.5 minutes of the half. Clark gets going. Timeout, Kings. They are in danger of being blown off the court.
Melbourne United, 10 of 15 from the three. They're getting it at the rim also as Jack White elevates, throws this one down. Sydney, you can't keep up with us. IC for three.
It is, and we've been critical of the Sydney Kings defense, but boy, you got to compliment Melbourne United, what they've been able to do on the offensive end. We are seeing a very special performance from them in this first half.
60-43 in the timeout. Sean Bruce is our Harvey Norman in the zone player this afternoon.
We're going under. Get the ball. On it. Grab it. Yeah, Whitey, that's two. Hey, Tui, make him chase over on this pin down. Go, Robbo. Go to work, bro. Go to work.
Big thanks to Harvey Norman for their support on Sunday Hoops this season. There is Sean Bruce, but Ruckle, go back to a point that you said about 3 or 4 minutes ago that we're at a point now in the season where you said it can't be danced around. You think Sydney are too small.
I do, and I thought a big loss in the off-season was Jordan Hunter. We saw yesterday Hunter play a fantastic role. He is a valuable big, and Sydney not re-signing him, they haven't replaced him with a like talent and a like physical profile. Asking Oliver and Cooks, as Tui gets a deflected dunk to go in, but for Cooks and Oliver to try and play that big role against guys like Marcus Lee and Will Magnay and Rob Lowe, it's very tough, Andrew.
It is, and clearly Brian Goorjian's been going through the motions of how in which he's trying to find a formula for which that's best suited for the Sydney Kings. And the thing that surprises me tonight, you look at this offensive onslaught. Their best player and one of the best on-ball defenders in the competition is Bull Quall. And he's only played a little over 3 minutes in this contest. So I'm really surprised that given the way in which United have had their way with the Sydney Kings, we haven't seen a little bit more of him for his defensive input.
But I thought he was very effective in that win against Cairns. Made some key plays on the offensive end and sealing that victory.
But doesn't this, in many ways, doesn't this speak to the frustration of fans, Sydney Kings fans, and also the NBL fans who are trying to work out these rotations? How does Bull Quall go from being one of the best players on the floor Friday night and playing some of the most minutes in the match to have played 3 minutes and a half?
Well, I think it comes down to Brian Goorjian just making decisions on how the opposition, how he wants to compete, and offensively trying to find the right formula to keep the scoreboard ticking over when your defense is not optimal.
Adams into the lane, had to change his shot because of Marcus Lee. It is an onslaught right now from the home team. Dellavedova scoreless. He's only taken the 1 field goal attempt. Hasn't needed to, but the turnover is not going to please Dean Vickerman. Get away with one there. White dribbling his way through traffic coast to coast.
You feel like Melbourne United got so many choices. This is by design. They are built, and Dean Vickerman, the way in which he wants to play is up-tempo, really putting a lot of pressure in those first 6 to 8 seconds of an offensive set. But they seem to have found the balance between that and what they got to do and how they can execute to find the people that are hot in the half court. Whereas Sydney has been struggling to find that balance. And Brian's looked at a variety of different things, and I can understand why some of the feedback and confusion, but it's about him trying to find a formula that's going to be successful for the long term. And given the way he's been playing his teams in the rotation, he clearly hasn't found that yet.
and you feel the pressure and the expectations. Sometimes you can try and make hasty decisions or quick decisions trying to catch up. But the reality is you can only win one game at a time.
And to speak of Brian Goorjian and what he does, this is the first time any team has scored 60 in a half against the Brian Goorjian coach team in a 40-minute game.
Well, Sydney haven't given up 100 points in 16 games.
Unbelievable this. It's one of the highest scoring first halves of the season. As we said, this is a Sydney Kings team who have had their issues offensively and trying to work it out. The one issue they haven't had this season is defending, but today is a very different story.
Look, and we're not going to disrespect Melbourne United and put it all on Sydney's inability on the defensive end. Andrew, this team, Melbourne United, are cooking offensively.
That is, and that's the point I was raising before, is clearly there's some issues going on with the Sydney Kings and how they're defending. But this has just been an offensive display. They're almost at 70%. I like to do, I'm going to Derek, I'm rounding up. They're at 70%.
Yeah, well, that's, if you know mathematical theory, that's perfectly acceptable, Andrew.
It's also the same way Derek invoices.
Come on, man.
70% from the field. It has been a special afternoon.
Great take from Tui. He might be one of their shining lights in this first half.
They'll be looking for anything at halftime. They've got some real soul searching to do.
It's going to be a big lead for Melbourne at halftime. A massive mountain for Sydney to climb beyond this main break. Golding behind the back for Marcus Lee. Points won't count.
What a pass.
65-49 at halftime. Melbourne have come out and absolutely terrorized Sydney.
A great team display from Melbourne United, led by Chris Golding with 20 points at the half. Dean Vickerman doing a great job in the break to get his team ready for this game.
Let's get over to Steph Baumgartner.
Thanks, Jack. I've got Rob Lowe with me. Rob, you've got 13 points. Chris Golding, 20 for the half. Jack White's been hanging off the rim. What are you enjoying most about this game so far?
The ball's flowing for us. We're doing a good job offensively. I still think 49 is too many for them. Sharpen up defensively.
Still 40 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go. What will Dean Vickerman say at the half?
We just got to keep the intensity going. You know, we've got fresh legs coming off this break, so just keep the intensity, keep the effort.
Good luck.
65-49. It's halftime here at John Cain Arena. A sellout for Sunday Hoops. Don't go too far. We've got the halftime show coming up next in the Hungry Jacks NBL.
Take your game from the local court to the big time. Apply now to step onto an NBL court after the final buzzer. Backing local ballers is just the beginning.
What the dive!
3 points on the forwards for Jesse Wagstaff and an excellent.
Take your game from the local court to the big time. Apply now to step onto an NBL court after the final buzzer. Backing local ballers is just the beginning.
Well, it's all Melbourne United in the first half, coming up against the best defensive team in the competition in the Sydney Kings, and they are making it look like child's play out there, and the usual suspects. Chris Golding lighting it up from the three-point line in that first half. We have a look at the match stats right here. Joe Brucker, Andrew Gaze. It is very, very complimentary to Melbourne United.
Well, both teams shooting it really well from the three-point line, and early on, that's what was keeping the Sydney Kings in. They were able to match the Melbourne United, but then turnovers, which is not on that screen, really cost the Kings, and defensively, they just didn't have a formula. And really surprised with some of their personnel decisions in particular, like we spoke about during the game with Bull Qual. He is an elite defender, can get into a little foul trouble from time to time, but to not see much of him during that first half was a surprise.
Well, as we go to the Hungry Jacks highlights here of Chris Golding, who's the player of the half so far. Gazy, you had the nerve to question the Korean defence during the fever break. What about what he's doing to the Kings right now?
Well, I think maybe Sydney Kings must have got caught up and got the Korean scouting report because look at some of these shots that Chris Golding. Now, for mere mortals, some of these shots, you know, they fall into the pretty tough, but not for Chris Golding. You need to be on him, wearing him like a second skin. But whenever there's a dribble handoff or an on-ball screen, he's just getting way too open, and he's a very special player, which we've seen for a long time. But when he's in this frame of mind, he's one of the most fun players to watch in the NBL.
Well, look at the Blackmore shot chart. Very efficient. 6 of 8 from the field. He's knocked down 5 threes, and not only that, he's creating a lot of other opportunities for his teammates. And Melbourne United offensively are operating at a very, very high level. Sydney've got their hands full. I don't know what they can do to get back into it, but it starts with more effort.
Well, the way that he played that first half, he may be staring the bell of creating history in the second half, because our man Leonard Copeland, he'd be sitting at home right now. I know he really values his standing on this chart. Now, you ain't coming near the top dog there. You're not coming here, Gazy. But Leonard, you're in danger. Chris Golding 2 away from taking him over at 5th spot.
Jeez. Well, we're going to hope Chris retires real soon if we're going to keep up on that table.
And thank you for throwing me in there at number 7 just to throw me a bone on a Sunday.
They tried to go top 5. I said, no. Scroll down a little. Just keep scrolling. Cam Oliver for the Sydney Kings. As you said, it hasn't been a disaster on offense. Defense is the woes, and Cam Oliver picking up where he left off on Friday night.
Yeah, well, he came out shooting the ball pretty effectively. His body language and all that looks really good now, Andrew. He's got to pick up on the defensive end, though, here in the second half. But Sydney overall, they've got to get Cam Oliver and they got to get Xavier Cooks going. But right now, no complaints with Cam Oliver.
Well, if it wasn't for the turnovers, you look at Sydney's offense overall, and statistically they're okay. But some of the shot selection, when things started to get a little out of control for them, it seemed like they were just blazing away from the three-point line. So the statistics don't always tell the story, but anytime you get 49 points against the Melbourne United in the first half, generally on paper you're looking at that and saying, we've ticked a pretty good box. But to give up 65, Brian Goorjian has never done that. A Brian Goorjian team in the 40-minute era has never ever given up over 60, so we've seen a bit of history here.
They'll be lucky to keep this thing under 112. That's the number, 112.
That's a big call. Tell you what, I reckon we know Brian Goorjian. He might be lighting a fire up a certain area of the players to fire him up in that second half. But the Perth Wildcats and the New Zealand Breakers will be coming up after this game at 4:30 p.m. A blockbuster matchup with 2 of the best teams in the league.
a crack at Chris if ball's out. Guarding it. Oh my God, why is that a foul? Why is it always a foul down that end? Hey, get a stop now, Wyatt! Get a stop!
They need a few of those this afternoon, and in this second half, some stops. There's Sean Bruce and his numbers in the first half. The number that matters most for Sydney, Derek Rucker and Andrew Gaze, is the 65 that they have allowed through in the opening half.
And at 70% shooting by Melbourne United, Sydney just can't get a rhythm in this game. Not only that, they only have 11 rebounds, and obviously they're not going to be a lot of rebounds when the other team's shooting 70%, but effort, Andrew, effort, that's where it's going to start if Sydney are to get back into this basketball game.
And this might be my offensive tendencies, but I think some of the times your defense can be helped if you can just be a little bit more concerned about the types of shots you're taking on the offensive end to allow your defensive transitions a better opportunity. Take the wind out of the ball, slow things down, and get this man a few more looks as well. Xavier Cooks, he's a superstar of the competition. He's only had 2 field goal attempts and only the 1 rebound. That's the thing that sticks out the most. So find a way to get Xavier Cooks more involved in the contest.
Sold out crowd this afternoon in Melbourne. Perth and New Zealand coming up straight after this. Gee, the first 2 minutes is important for Sydney here, Drew.
Oh, my word, it is. It's on the cusp of getting ugly.
Cook swings to Oliver, tucked away for 3. That's a nice start.
Excellent offense. They really got that floor spread in the middle. Cook set a couple of twist screens, led to a little dump down and kick out to Oliver.
Oliver has 14 of their 52. Easy bucket for Golding. He's got 22 now.
And that's going to be on more often as teams try to get up and in and deny him and really overplay the catches. That opens up that opportunity for the back cut.
Oh, dear.
Bruce has got to shoot that one. Caught it in rhythm with enough space.
Clark rips baseline. Knocked away by Cooks. The advantage of Oliver. This time Bruce shoots it. Derek Rucker shakes his head.
Well, it's funny how the basketball god punishes you, Andrew. You pass one up.
Dean Dickerman has just given Jack White the spray because he had Bruce on him and he wanted him to be in attack mode. And that's the sort of coach I want to play for, that someone says,
correct,
get after it on the offensive end.
And Jack White readily accepted the criticism, looks over at his coach now, acknowledges, yes, coach, you were right. Much different to your attitude would have been to your dad, Andrew.
Dad didn't have to tell me to go attack it.
He just knew he didn't play D, so. 7:52. Oliver, that is a tough fall away. It's not going to get them back in the game. And he gives away a foul.
You see a lot of compound errors made in the NBL these days, and that's a typical example there. Bad shot on one end, and then he goes down and commits his 3rd foul on the other with just 2 minutes off the clock in this 3rd quarter.
18 and 16 when the teams played earlier in the season. Cam Oliver, he was a massive problem for Melbourne on that night. The unselfishness of this United team, White can't finish off with a jam. Here, Cooks with a hard landing. Tui takes it through Golding and scores. Alex Tui's got 9. It's at this end where they have got all sorts of problems because Melbourne is scoring at will.
That hurts, Andrew. You get Melbourne United to take a quick shot, they miss, but you can't clear the rebound.
No, it is, but even on made baskets, it's a real struggle for the Sydney Kings to get back on defense and build that wall behind the ball. And sure, when you've got an opponent that's currently 10 of 15 from the three-point line, that is going to spread your defense. But right now, they're doing neither. They're not really guarding the rim and not really doing a good job on the three ball.
Well, two guys that were omitted from that Paris team, Chris Golding and Jack White, right now putting a hurt on the Kings with 32 points between the two of them. Maybe they got a little more incentive, Drew?
Well, it's somewhere deep in the back of the mind. There'd be something in that, I think.
Shooting from Golding would have been handy at the Olympics.
Oh, come on. Steps back on Tui.
Now that had a go.
Now he's got his hands full at the defensive end. This talented youngster forces his way in. He's into double figures.
Smart.
Timeout Melbourne. And Alex Tui trying to push his team back in the right direction.
Well, it is, and it's a good recognition of the situation. Down low, got the size advantage, just gets to his spot. You saw Jack White, if you're going to come down, you've got to come down a whole lot more aggressive. Just waves the hand. Got to come down and really double team. It looks like Tui and Golding might have had a collision.
A Tangerine timeout, 70-58. As soon as we finish up here, we take you to RAC Arena in Perth, a Sunday game in the West, which I know fans are very excited about. The Wildcats taking on the New Zealand Breakers, and Damien Martin is very much looking forward to this one.
It's going to be a massive matchup today here at RAC Arena on the back of an NBL doubleheader. The Perth Wildcats off the back of a massive win over an injury-depleted Brisbane Bullets on Friday night. They've got to back it up against the New Zealand Breakers, who are not happy with their performance on Thursday night in that loss to the Illawarra Hawks. But for me, it's all about that matchup in the point guard position. Bryce Cotton versus Parker Jackson Cartwright. That alone is worth the price of admission. I think who has the better game within those two, their team goes on to win it.
Should be an interesting game. We have got word through that Keanu Pinder has been ruled out of that game as well, so stick around this afternoon. What about this for a famous face in the crowd this afternoon? Nene's in the house, Rob.
Nene, the great Brazilian.
What the?
Drew, why are you surprised?
Have you really just noticed that?
I didn't know he was here.
Tones and I's here as well.
Oh yeah, let's get it popping in here.
He's directly sitting opposite from us.
First I saw of it. I'm just focusing on the game, Jack. Apologies for that.
Ooh. And they called him for stepping out of bounds. A little bit of a clumsy play over there in the corner. You see Melbourne United trying to come out of that timeout with the play called for Clark.
There's one more look, Drew.
Ah, beautiful. Good to see it in front row and centre as well, as he should be. But there's some encouraging signs right now for the Sydney Kings. They're still trailing it by 12, but you just get a sense that some of the heat might have gone out of Melbourne United.
They need Jalen Adams to get going. That's his first make of the game.
A much needed one. Now they've got that lead to a nice psychological level of 10.
They've scored the last 6, Sydney. It's their best run of the game so far, which tells you about the struggles there. Marcus Lee over the top.
Well, that's what you were talking about earlier, Derek, in size, and size mattering. You've got Marcus Lee with that size advantage.
But that's not his game either, Drew.
No, you don't see a lot of it, but he just feels, because he's got that size advantage, he gets it into his real comfortable position.
Again, you see Ian Clark, who's got 5 points, trying to get himself going. Melbourne United are 7-1 when Clark scores more than 14.
He's got mum and dad in the audience as well.
Gonna chat to them pre-game. For people, Dad's only here for a week or so, but Ian's mum's going to stay in town until just before Christmas. Sydney ball.
Well, I thought that may have come off a Sydney hand. Andrew, I think you agree with me.
Yeah, it did look like it.
No one's making a big deal out of it.
Here it is, the slap, clearly. And then
Oh no, Jack White. Jack White with a deflection. Wholesale changes for Melbourne. None of this out of bounds.
Keep playing, man. Keep playing.
Still have only seen Bullquall for 3 minutes in the game. His body language on the bench has been positive. He's been standing up and cheering, but not on the floor. Tui fouled.
Move forward. He moved forward.
His size and his length is starting to become a problem for Melbourne.
8 blue, blocking foul.
Well, especially against this lineup, Tui has an advantage if Golding or Delhi or Cameron decide to pick him up.
As we mentioned, Tui seeing some quality time, almost up to 16 minutes now, and performing 5 of 8. Coming off a game where he only played that 6 minutes, that can raise some questions in your own head for young players who perhaps don't understand the circumstances of the game, and can be a little confusing as to why that would be the case. And he's provided the state of Victoria with some delicious cheeseburgers from Hungry Jack's.
The kids are excited. I think I know someone else who's a bit excited about the prospect of a burger today. Kings trail by 12. The last couple of minutes have been better. Oliver down low on Bowen.
That's really good D by Bowen, and really bad offense.
Wow.
Tui scores and one.
Oliver Robertson and Tui fighting in there for that basketball. Second chance points from the Kings. I said at the halftime break, effort was needed. Oliver gets a hand in there. Risky play with 3 fouls, and Tui's just good with it inside to finish. Tui's living on the free throw line lately.
He's got to make them, though. That's where you're going. And these days, used to be just get the ball to the point guard, bigs and mids. Got no business handling it, but everyone's got a license to advance the ball. But when you see the open court, he's got to push that ball out in front of him. He's going to take off with a dribble.
It's the closest they've been since midway through the second quarter, Sydney. And within 9. Dellavedova no good. Ball fell back into the lap of Cameron. Second opportunity for Melbourne. Shot clock ticks down to 6.
Ooh.
Stripped by Tui. He is having some sort of quarter. The next start took up low. And it's a 7-point game. Steph Baumgartner with the latest from Sydney's bench.
Yes, I'm told the mystery's been solved with Bullquall. I've been told he's got a knee injury, nothing major, that is looking after it today.
Well, Alex Tui having an impact in this contest. That was all class, and the adjustment around the rim contested. And now on the defensive end, getting it done.
Leave him out there.
And look at this Amy replay. Good hands, pushes it, and this is a tough finish. Watch him elevate, cock it back, and with deft touch, jelly that thing in the bucket.
That time.
Sydney on a fight back, Drew.
And he forces another turnover. Frustration for Cameron, perhaps.
Cameron's going to come out. They need a bit of leadership. So Shea Illy back into the game. There's Bullquall, who looks like he'll take no further part, as Steph said. But Alex Tui has 16 points now, and he's one of the only Sydney players with a positive plus-minus for the afternoon.
And as a team, Jack, since the half, they've limited Melbourne United to only 7 points. So whatever was discussed at the halftime break was effective, and it's been applied really well by the team.
Spot on. And they've curtailed their looks from the three-point line a little, albeit they're still shooting it well, 10 of 19.
Give it a minute.
So, blazing away throughout, but now getting a better balance with that attack on the rim.
This is a 9-2 run for the Kings. Still 3.5 minutes left in this third term. Melbourne just starting to feel the pinch a little.
Starting to get a little bit unsettled. They've got to rally Find some good offensive sets just to take the sting out of this game a little bit and get this crowd back into it.
Yeah, the atmosphere's just lulled a little bit since the scoring has dried up.
And trigger warning, we've experienced this before, the three of us.
Yes. Yes, we have.
You didn't answer my question.
Bull Quoll makes it a 5-point game. Melbourne led by as much as 16 only 3 or 4 minutes ago. This lineup that's out there for the Kings have done the job. It's unheralded. And it's working for them. They're doing this without Oliver on the floor, without Adams on the floor, without Cooks on the floor. It's their second unit that have got them back into the game.
Well, Noy and Tui have been outstanding, as has Tyler Robertson. He hasn't played as many minutes as the other two, but he's a +7 in only his 9 minutes of play. And of course, he threw in that 80-footer.
Yes. Melbourne from the baseline, little push from Bowen. It drops. Much needed bucket. Sydney are coming back, and they are coming back hard. That's not helpful.
Well, LePepe tries to inflict some pain on Chris Goulding inside when the mismatch occurred, and just too exuberant with the body. It wasn't necessary.
What a holding foul. Have a look at the right of your screen. Oh my goodness.
It looked worse from our angle, but it wasn't bad.
Gee, didn't seem a whole lot in that.
Just make stuff up when it gets close. We're in a fight.
George doesn't like it. Goulding trying to fight through contact. Steve from Liafa. They've done a better job of slowing Goulding down in this third quarter. He was on fire in the first half. Tui, bounce pass, inside for LePepe.
Outstanding pass, and here we go. Low nudges LePepe.
Go over there, please.
It's a fine line. LePepe didn't do anything wrong then. He's just walking back to his teammates.
I think it was the bark, Andrew, after he finishes, which is perfectly acceptable.
There's the foul on the hand, and then...
I've got a normal foul on Lowe. Is there anything after that needs to be dealt with in terms of a penalty on the floor?
Yeah, he had a few words to say to Lowe, and Lowe didn't like it. And right now, with this crowd taken out of the game a little bit, LePepe just needs to recognise that you don't want to start to generate the emotion in the building, because things are going the Sydney Kings way this quarter.
Number 2 point. Rob Lowe, number 2, 1 shot.
Technical foul on Rob Lowe as well. Who's arguing the point.
Early in the game. You react, you cop one. You cop one.
Your comment about the crowd there, Drew, is spot on. It's very quiet in this building in the third quarter. Very different, yeah.
Different to what we saw when things were rolling in the first half. And now,
what about Lowe's actions there, Drew? What do you make of that? Now, you get something said to you that you don't like.
Well, that's what I don't understand. There's nothing, to me, there should be nothing to see here. These are just a couple of blokes in the competitive
But that's not how Rob Lowe gets down. You say something to him, you touch him, anything. He's coming back at you.
Yeah, but that's my point. Why, if you're going to take Rob Lowe, why aren't you taking LePepe for the initial taunting?
Maybe the ref didn't hear what he said. You can't tech him if you haven't heard what he said.
Well, there was certainly a look and words were coming out of his mouth and a response from Lowe. So I don't think you actually needed to actually hear the script to understand something was said.
We're a family show on Sunday Hoops. 16-4 is this run from Sydney. And have stormed back into the contest. Things have dried up significantly for Melbourne. At the offensive end of the floor, Illy fights his way through and will be shooting free throws.
5:34. Hit 2. Jesus.
And Brian Goorjian very upset with his team for reaching in, fouling in that situation. They had done a pretty good job in the initial phases of that defensive possession, and then let Illy off the hook, and he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
Gorgian pacing the sidelines.
And it's another example of it. We saw Tui really changed the look of this whole game in this third quarter. And the energy required, they didn't finish it out. You know, they made some substitutions to give him some rest. And he resulted in rolling the dice and keep running with it.
Pass, Noy for Cooks. Cuts it back to 4.
They found some rhythm here.
If they ever.
It's 23-11 in this quarter only in favor of the Kings.
Really dumps it out for Tanner Krebs. Strong rebound. He's 8. When Shea Ili plays, Melbourne are 8-3 this season, and he's doing everything he can to try and keep them in front here.
Do this.
Second phase possessions killing the Kings. They'd be.
Reached in.
Listen to Brian Gorgian.
This is where it gets a little frustrating for the coaches and I guess for some of the fans too, with all the contact that goes on. It didn't seem like there's a whole lot in that last ball that sends Shea Ili to the line for a couple of freebies.
Well, if you defensive rebound, Andrew, you don't have to worry about that situation.
No, I hear you, and that is a very, very valid point.
Last night with the guard for Can. Dives and throws it up and you put him on the line.
I think Brian agrees with me.
Yeah. 78-72 at John Cain Arena. Sunday hoops here in the Hungry Jacks NBL. Noy unloads for 3. There's just 3 points that separate them now.
12 points off the bench. Confidence always high. Self-esteem always high. Good foul, right, Andrew?
Well, it was, because it sends a shaky free throw shooter to the line. Brian Gorgian, I think he's upset not with the end, is that there was just the rules that they wanted to apply weren't being executed that allowed for Lee to get wide open. Lepepe certainly showed some frustration when one of your teammates doesn't apply the rules of what you're doing on the defensive end.
60% free throw shooter Marcus Lee.
Let's stab with you. Stab.
Well, Sydney, let's give them credit. They've done a great job in figuring out what lineups need to be on the floor to get them back in this game. Oof. And their defense has picked up significantly.
We've barely seen Jalen Adams in his third quarter. Cooks tries to force one. Final minute. Melbourne have watched a 16-point halftime lead dwindle away. And they are in a significant fight. 5 seconds remains on the shot clock. Clark and Cooks, championship teammates. Sydney get the ball back. Robinson shares with Cooks, and now Kawhi Noy catch and shoot. It's off the front of the rim. Shot clock's been switched off. 10 seconds remaining in the quarter. Ili winds it down, still a long way from the basket. Now time to shoot. A tremendous fight back from the Sydney Kings. Sees a 4-point game at three-quarter time, and John Cain Arena is stunned. 79-75. Don't go too far. It's another blockbuster finish coming up on Sunday Hoops.
Robbo. Get some push in there, Robbo. Get some push. We're getting there. We've got the momentum right now. Get that. Yeah, Kelly. Forcing it. Sit down, mate. Sit down, mate. Great job, man. Way to turn the game around. Great energy.
He's leading from the front this afternoon. Sean Bruce, our Harvey Norman in the zone player, 79-75 off the back of a 26-14 third quarter.
Wow. Melbourne United 4 of 18 from the field, 0 of 6 from the three-point line in that quarter, and that's why Sean Bruce is up and feeling good about his team.
No, it is, and there was a noticeable change in that third quarter at the defensive end by the Sydney Kings. They clearly tightened up some of their rules. Really, hopefully that's just a corky to the quad.
Just? Well, you never had one?
Well, they can sting, but you can play through it.
Two of the best fourth quarter teams in the league. Thrashing it out on Sunday Hoops. It's moved from Dellavedova, but can't score. Only has the 2 free throws to his name for the afternoon. Does have 8 assists though.
He's got the assignment on Tui, who was the game changer in that third quarter. He's got Matthew Dellavedova to guard the bigger Tui.
Bush knocked it away from Bowen. Lee caught a bullet that came inside, and that's knocked out of play. Steph, you were listening in at three-quarter time?
Sure was. The first words out of Brian Goorjian's mouth was, I like this. We know they had a great quarter. He said, keep this going, stay in there. If United shoot, keep your hands high and keep them off the line.
Well, that's what he wanted, just better defensive energy. He got it, and obviously he's much happier now. They've got a legitimate chance to go out and win this basketball game. They can just control their turnovers and knock down a couple of threes, Andrew.
Going inside for Lee. Unselfish.
What a pass. Read it beautifully. Obviously, the Sydney Kings are very Chris Goulding conscious.
Of course.
And opened up the passing lane.
22 points, Goulding, but third quarter, he had anywhere near the same impact as he had in the first half. Tui trying to use his size. Advantage over Dellavedova. A couple of looks from close range that he's missed out on.
2 good moves to the basket, just couldn't finish, and Delly comes back the other way.
First versus fourth. It's delivered once again, this Melbourne and Sydney matchup. Shea Ili now has 13.
Really is wearing Jalen Adams like he should, and he's been a tough night for Jalen Adams.
He comes up with the ball here and goes past Adams. Bowen in the corner.
Good job boxing out there by the Sydney Kings. You look at the Amy replay. Goulding raises up, draws 2. Marcus Lee, one of the league leaders in dunks.
Amy replay.
Cam Oliver shows hard on him like that. Now, he was a little late and he knew he had to get there, but you can't just come out there and be a body. You've got to have a lot more ball pressure to try and take away that pass, get a deflection, be more ball conscious of how you're going to do it to give your third man rotation a little bit more time to get in front of the roller.
83-75 at John Cain Arena. Pass Adams for Cooks, who goes upstairs.
Great pass. Wrap around, lays it out there softly for Cooks.
He's got 10 points, slowly starting to accumulate.
10. Check.
Former league MVP.
Oh, that's a great pass. And just good recognition of the action. He knew his man, Xavier Cooks, was going to be open because of the positioning of Lee, and the wraparound pass. Nice drop-off pass.
Flashes to the cup. Pass is a little hot for Lee. An opportunity for Sydney. The stop at one end. Bruce for three. Got it!
Nice decision there by Jalen Adams. Probe, created the space for Bruce, who's shooting it well today. Knocks down his third three of the game.
Now Oliver blocks Dellavedova.
They're in a funk now, Melbourne United. And everything's really hard work on the offensive end with the exception of that on-ball and that roll-off pass to Lee. Just a good block, good help by Cam Oliver.
Timeout called, 83-80, the Kings within 3. What a significant shift in this game since halftime.
It is, and Melbourne United haven't hit a three yet in this second half. A bit of a curious time out there, Andrew. Sydney with the momentum. Brian Gorge and his coaching staff elect to call a time. Maybe it was one of those where they need rest, and they felt that took priority over the momentum they currently have.
No, for sure, and they hadn't used one at that stage, so might as well use it right now to give your team a rest rather than making some substitutions.
16 points for Alex Tui, 14 for Cam Oliver. Chris Golding's still the leading scorer in the game. He's got 22 on 7 of 11. $10,175 here at John Cain Arena in Melbourne this afternoon. And when the difference was 16 at halftime, you could be forgiven for thinking about what else is on in Melbourne for a Sunday afternoon. But the Kings have fought their way back in, and it's a 3-point game.
Well, what a turnaround. They had 65 points at halftime, Melbourne United. And Sydney come out of halftime holding a 14 in the third, and they've only got 4 in this one. So a spectacular turnaround by Brian Gorge and his team.
Bruce ties it up.
And the continuing one-way feud towards Dean Vickerman continues.
A chance to go ahead.
Comes up with the steal. Sydney have not led since the back end of the first quarter. Golding eventually draws a foul. Jalen Adams not happy with it.
Here it is. The scores are tied, and Bruce just tries to do a little too much with it.
There was some entanglement.
2 shots for Golding, of course. The NBL Summer Shootout is here. It's very easy. Just choose the club that you think is going to score the highest points in their Summer Shootout game. You correctly predict that, and it's your chance to win $100,000. Jump online and check it out.
The games on the road, aren't they, Jack?
Yes,
So
they are.
you've got to pick how many points in specified games, and you can win $100,000. See who it is.
And I wouldn't mind Melbourne United at Adelaide. That's one of my choices. Not sure if I'm breaching any protocols there, Jack, and providing a little bit of tipping advice.
Sure, there's probably T's and C's that say that you can't enter Ruck, or anyone else with the surname Rucker for that matter. Your kids can't enter either. Cooks was given some space by Lowe. Dean Vickerman screaming at Melbourne, saying to push the tempo and back to the way they were playing in the first half. Illy and one.
Wow. Adams needs to be more disciplined on the defensive end, and he's gone.
Tech foul on Brian Gorge.
No.
He'd had enough.
I don't... Wow, there's a push off there that we didn't see before. Oof.
That's why he earned the tech. You don't have to be a lip reader to know what Brian Gorge and...
However, he may have a valid argument. Ely extends the right arm on the penetration.
And then not a lot in that reach in they called it on Jalen Adams. Back-to-back calls where on the shooting foul, it didn't look like there was a whole lot in it.
Right here, watch.
This is where he could have got away. The left extension of the arm, maybe sold it a little bit, but then was there much in that to earn the and one?
Oliver, Liafa, Bruce, Cooks, and Noy. And 5 on the floor for Sydney. Lowe, Cameron, White, Golding, and Illy for Melbourne. And a bit of breathing space now at 89-83.
Turnaround.
Oliver, hands off to Noy. Shot clock at 7. Still time for something meaningful for Sydney. Brooks can't score. Kings get another look. Oliver takes it straight through Jack White.
Tough, outstanding move, great skill. And the Kings continue to hang around Jack.
16 now for Cam Oliver. The scene might be set for their start to play a winning hand late in the game. Bush running the point. Kawhi Noy catch and shoot. That's not there.
All right, let's do this.
4.5 minutes to play. What has been a fascinating contest, and that will be a foul on Bruce.
Shea Illy's been very assertive in this fourth quarter, trying to get the ball to the paint. He's done a really good job drawing fouls, much to the ire of the Sydney Kings bench. But Drew, there's contact there.
No, it is. The problem started at the top. Cam Oliver just comes out on that hedge and just swipes at the ball, and it was just too much separation to catch up on the defensive end. And they're trying to fight through that. Bruce just couldn't get there in time. And if you're going to hedge, usually the criteria when you're hedging is to have the ball carrier to have to take a little retreat dribble. And that time it was just a straight line with a swipe.
Perth Wildcats, New Zealand Breakers is where we're headed next. Brian Gordon still unhappy with some of the officiating this afternoon. Zelly makes the second. Kings call a timeout. 4:27 remaining.
And Gordon's going to use
when they drive
the early
before you
part
call
of this
the
timeout
foul. To this, please.
to express some grief that he has about the way this game's being officiated on their defensive end.
Well, win or lose this one, Brian Goorjian, he's going to have something to look back on that's really positive. The way in which they have responded in this second half, based on what we saw in the first, has been a...
On the
Let's
dive
listen to
crack,
Gorge.
do you think you can get the ball back on the flip? Or he's playing your... What? No, I'm talking about you carrying it. He's good coming off it.
Space it, when I crack you, turn the corner. He's not going to help at all. When you come off the crack with a shot,
Hey, when you've got the ball, listen, when he comes off, if you hit him and you don't have the shot, be aware of the flip back or middle pick and roll. Or don't give it and it's pick, all right? And he can always go by his guy with the pass.
Well, Brian Goorjian, high level of engagement, very direct about what he's looking for offensively, and they need to execute right now. Good teams are successful in these timeouts, especially when it's your timeout, Andrew. It's imperative you execute.
Well, that's right. And a couple of options in this play, but it's going to be Adams coming off either a single or a double, and then potentially getting it back. More talking here about certain concepts rather than something specific. Here's the...
Play breaks down. Time for Adams to go into creator mode. Oliver from outside. Cam Oliver, big time.
We saw them use that concept earlier in this half where Oliver hit a corner three. Great job by Cooks and Adams in creating that opportunity.
A 2-point game. For the first time in the afternoon, it's Melbourne who are forced to come up with some answers. A Sunday transaction from Golding as he banks it home.
And I can guarantee you, he was not trying to put that off the glove.
Doesn't matter what he was trying to do.
But what I'm saying is, sometimes it's good fortune.
Ooh, pass knocked out of bounds.
That's when you're on a heater.
Yeah.
It seems these types of good luck plays go your way more than normal. You very rarely do you get that kind of luck when you're stinking it up.
With that three, equals the great Leonard Copeland in all-time three-point makes here in the NBL. Liafa fouled on the putback.
Is that right?
It's already gone past you.
Oh, I'm well aware of that, Jack.
It happened.
One of the truly, truly great shooters and scorers in NBL history, Andrew.
Yeah, I will say it is a vastly different game with the three-point line these days than it was back in Derek Rucker's era where they still had laces in the ball.
Wow. That's a tremendous shot. Now, we know Young Jung Lee likes to intentionally bank him 2 shots.
Let's go, guys.
That's all right. So now in front of Chris Golding in all-time three-point makes is only CJ Bruton, John Riley, Shane Heal, and A. Gaze.
And Andrew, the way he's playing, CG43, he can continue at a really productive level for in our league for a number of years.
Ooh, wow.
He just threw that one at the basket, no touch.
They're the worst free throw shooting team in the competition, and it's hurting him again in this one. 10 of 16. I'll turn it up.
Sydney ball. How tempted would you be, Ruck, to get Sean Bruce back into the game here? Isaiah Liafa, 0 of 5 for the game. Sean Bruce, as captain, has 12 points on 4 of 5.
Well, before him, I'd prioritize Tui the way he's been playing, but I like the choice. I'd probably go with Liafa out and Noy out for those two for a couple of minutes to see if we can get back in it with a minute to go.
Instrumental, Alex Tui in the third quarter, getting Sydney back into the game. Adams dribbles his way in.
21. Block.
And sending Sydney to the line, Andrew, just prolongs this game for Melbourne United, and the more possessions that are in it, I just feel it benefits the Kings. And they can't, wow, goodness.
11 of 17 for the line this afternoon, Sydney. Jalen Adams, one of their marquee names. A deep breath. It counts. And there's 3 that split them again.
One possession game despite all of this.
Yeah, and a lot of time still on the clock.
93 to 90 at John Cain Arena. Dellavedova's pass goes astray.
There's a question too, whether is it Marcus Lee or Rob Lowe you prefer out there right now as well for Melbourne United. So both coaches got some options they can go to.
We tick down to the final 2 minutes. Golding backdoor, defers to Lowe.
Chris Golding's hurt.
Yeah.
Chris Golding is hurt. Now, hopefully it's just cramp, but it's
the right leg.
Calf issue, perhaps.
Adams inside, dumps it off to Oliver. And that'll be 5 on Rob Lowe.
She's fouled.
But the story here is Chris Golding, you can see, clearly hampered by that right lower leg.
And he just grimaces again as he tries to put weight on it in real time, Andrew.
He just spoke to, I think it was Rob Lowe when it was there, and he did say that I've got cramp. So that's a good, and the pickle juice comes out. The most disgusting beverage on the market.
It's not that bad. What are you talking about?
Putrid taste, but that's what you've got to do to get yourself back out there.
Well, it's not that bad, right?
No, it's not bad.
What, you have it on the rocks, or?
Well, I like pickles, and often after I've eaten all the pickles, I'll go ahead and chug the rest of the juice.
It's just sick. 95-90, Rob Lowe fouled out. Chris Goulding with cramp. Here's another look at Chris Goulding's all-time makes. Now, that's been incredible.
If you go down this list, Jack, Andrew Gaze, man next to me, great shooter, great scorer. Shane Heal, same. John Really, an absolute marksman. CJ Bruton, a scoring point guard. Leonard Copeland, fantastic scorer, could really get streaky with it. And of course, Chris Goulding, one of the all-time fantastic shooters and scorers in NBL history.
Derek, we should really enjoy seeing that on there, because in 20 or 30 years' time, the way the game's played these days, I don't think those records are going to be holding up for eternity, that's for sure.
No one's beating your record.
Oh, absolutely they are.
No.
Absolutely. Given the way the game is played, the amount of threes that are shot in a game, as we see Chris Goulding go to the locker room.
5 points the difference. Steph Baumgartner.
Yeah, Chris Goulding's just headed off into the rooms, but I can hear him saying during that timeout it's a calf cramp in his right leg.
Cramp confirmed, which is good news in many respects for Melbourne fans, but it's whether or not Goulding can get back out there before the end of the game.
And those calf cramps, hamstring cramps, Andrew, they're just really, really tough to deal with in the heat of battle. You want them to loosen up and stop spasming as quickly as possible. Not always the case.
21 points for Cam Oliver, 6 rebounds and 6 steals for the afternoon.
He's been outstanding this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. I guess it might be offense for defense, but Cam Oliver checking out with 1:45 to go.
Tui back into the game. Illy's been a handful for Adams, continues to be, but that won't count. Sydney with a chance to tie it up. This trick down the floor.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's exactly what they do.
Oh, my.
Comes off the early screen, gets the feet set with good defensive pressure on the shooting side of his body, levels up, knocks down the 3-ball.
He's 1 of 7 before that field goal attempt.
A stunning second half fight back from the Kings. Jack White does it again. Go back to round 7. He was the man throwing daggers late.
That's it. Sense of deja vu with that 3.
Cooks can't score. But the Kings will reload.
Oh, my! Adams taking matters into his own hands. And this is hard to do when you haven't been feeling it for 35 minutes in the contest.
The nervous energy in this building right now is incredible. 2 of the biggest names in the NBL going head-to-head. It's all on the line now. 1 on the shot clock. Sydney have got the ball and the chance to take the lead.
Better get it over halfway.
That's an 8-second violation.
What are you? It's an 8-second violation. He was talking to Brian Goorjian and saying, timeout, timeout.
There's no timeouts. You can't call a timeout with a live ball.
He's been in this country long enough and played enough international basketball. He's looking at Brian Goorjian and was saying, timeout, timeout. And I don't even think Brian Goorjian knew what he was asking for, because you just can't do it.
Now, Melbourne United, if there is a shining light here, they get the ball with a 14-second shot clock, which means Sydney will get a chance, provided they rebound or Melbourne United score.
That's unbelievable.
It is.
Well, there's no one to blame other.
You got to push the ball up the floor.
And there was no pressure. There was no reason why he shouldn't, other than he just thought he could get a timeout.
Drama that you cannot script. Melbourne with a free possession and a chance to put themselves back in front. Illy steps back. The Kings got a hand in, and he'll shoot free throws.
Adams unnecessarily hacks in at the basketball. Illy is already going after a low percentage shot, but let's review this.
Timeout, he's asking for a timeout.
Jalen, you got to push it. Awareness.
As Tui was Adams with the reach in, and he didn't need to. Tui had it covered, had size, and that's unfortunately for the Sydney Kings. Adams' 5th foul, and he has been their go-to guy this last minute with the back-to-back threes.
And back-to-back errors will end his day.
Brian Gorgian still has a timeout. Whether or not he wants to take it right now.
You guys are amazing. Have a look and see if he's traveling on that. He took a step and another step. And all of this tonight.
Brian Gorgian thought he traveled Shea Illy on that last play.
Illy misses the second. The Kings with one chance. Cooks with ball in hand. Bruce for the win. Can't score. Tui can't come up with it. Melbourne United ball with 3.9 to play.
Was that the right play, Bruce? I know it hit some shots.
You could feel the pace of the possession was too fast, I thought, Andrew. There wasn't enough composure at any point in that possession. They get a rush shot, and then Tui is unable to secure that offensive rebound after getting a hand on it.
Plenty of time still left when that's a tough shot. And it's an out-of-bounds call, and that's definitely off Tui. Brian Gorgian, I think, is a little disappointed in the shot again. He shot that with 6-7 seconds remaining, so there was plenty of time. Now he had a good one from the three-point line. He was 4 of 6 or 4 of 5 before that last attempt.
And he's a guy who makes big shots. But I agree with you.
Tangerine timeout. Little bit of time added back on the clock. There'll be 4.1 seconds.
Now, Jack, we've got an inbound situation for Melbourne United with 4 on the clock.
No, sure.
Let's see if they've worked on the FIBA break in the offseason on sideline out of bounds.
Surely, with what happened to them last season.
You can't say that without a trigger warning.
In a grand final series, that they would have a well-scripted play.
Well, we're about to find out.
To one, not just inbound it, but you want to inbound it to a good free throw shooter as well.
And I'm curious, Jack, to see who the inbounder is.
Marcus Lee on the floor. He's the obvious one to foul, I guess, if you're Sydney.
And I'd like Jack White to be taken.
I agree.
With size, someone that can got some size to throw it over.
It looks like it's going to be Matthew Dellavedova who will be the inbounder. And from the exact same position he inbounded it last year. What?
The Kings can foul or come up with a quick steal. So it comes down to this.
He's open.
Melbourne find Clark, and he is a man you'd like shooting free throws.
Well-designed play, Andrew.
It certainly is. And it was a read by Clark to come over the top and underneath. Now he's trying to go there with the overplay, and he was always going to be able to catch it. Tui was always going to foul.
You take it out. You take it out.
The Kings have got a, on the scoreboard says they've still got a timeout.
Well, Ian Clark has not missed a free throw this season.
Gorgian's calling it as if
Brian Gorgian is conducting himself as if he doesn't believe they have a timeout. Now he's in discussions with the bench, and I think now he's realized he has a timeout. That won't matter if Clark doesn't knock down this free throw.
Play for 3.
Timeout coming. Clark holds his nerve. United by 3, but the Kings with one last look.
Now they've got to get their shooters out there. I would still leave Oliver in the game. I would get Oliver in the game.
Yeah. You want another shooter, you got to hit a three. So you need, and the other thing right now, I think 3.6, it's dangerous because will Dean Vickerman actually foul on the inbound to take away the option of the three ball? Now the risk with doing that, if you catch it and just go up into the shooting action and you're trying to foul, you send the guy to the free throw line for 3 free throws. So it's a 3.6. It's sort of right in that grey area of whether you should just play it out or risk sending someone to the free throw line.
Well, I can
for 3 free throws.
If we're talking about personnel, I would go with Noy, Oliver, Tui, Bruce.
Well,
but they're going to, LePepe's going to be out there. He's knocked down 3 threes today. This is tough.
And Oliver and Noy, I would have thought, would have been good options.
3.6 seconds left. The final chapter in the story. Liafa from the corner. We'll check if there's any time left on the clock.
We just hit the out of bounds and the clock, please.
I doubt if there is any time left, it's going to be very, very brief. Have a look here. Really, another really rush shot.
Yeah.
3 seconds is still enough time. Now, I guess he was thinking they're probably going to foul, so he's just got into that shooting motion so he'd get to the free throw line to shoot 3.
If there is any time left, it's whether there's enough time, Ruck, to get an inbound and to get a 3 away.
And based on what I saw in that replay, I can't see any more than 0.1. But
game over. No time remaining. Dean Vickerman breathes an enormous sigh of relief. Another classic between Melbourne and Sydney. It's United who come away with a 3-point win.
Well, both teams are going to take a lot out of this game, and the first and foremost, since these two teams with the games we've seen between them this season, highly competitive, but that was not the case in the first half. Completely dominated by Melbourne United, and the way in which the Sydney Kings came out in the second half, that they will take some positives from that, because this game looked shot at halftime. They'd given up 65 points and were able to turn it around on the defensive end. And Alex Tui, in particular, was instrumental in that third quarter. And Melbourne United, they somehow find a way to get it done again on their home court.
Well, the depth and the winning DNA of this franchise will get you through tough moments like this. And we talked about this double road trip weekend for the Sydney Kings, Andrew. I think the Kings can walk out of here feeling a little bit more optimistic about their prospects for the rest of the season. This was an admirable performance and a really great game here on a Sunday in John Cain.
They take their record now to 11 wins and 4 losses for the season, Melbourne United. They've got a big stretch of games coming away from home in January because of the Australian Open, but they are so well placed.
They are, and Dean Vickerman does a great job coming out of breaks. His team rarely wins, rarely loses, and this win here was a big one.
101-98, the final score at John Cain Arena. We're going to come back and try and make sense of all of this on the other side.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.
Well, that noise you can hear is a collective sigh of relief from Melbourne United fans. They were in a fight in that second half. They win 101-98. But after a big first half lead, they were pushed all the way by the Sydney Kings.
They were, and a couple of brain fades at the end of the game for the Sydney Kings that will haunt them. But 16 of 30 from the three-point line for the Sydney Kings, and they're unable to come away with the win because Melbourne United 12 of 25 with some exceptional shooting themselves. Chris Goulding came out of the blocks smoking hot. Had 20 in the first half, ended up with 28, but it was from the three-point line. That was his very first make, Derek. And when you're coming off a weekend where you hit 19 of 30 in international play, you knew he was going to come into this venue full of confidence and letting it fly.
And Sydney didn't do anything early to provide any resistance or try and stymie his confidence, and he took full advantage with those 28 points. Unfortunately, suffered a cramp at the end of the game, and that really hurt Melbourne United. But Jack, the story of the game is, as a collective, they were able to hold on. And look at that shot chart, Drewy. You give up half of your salary per season if you could shoot like that every game, couldn't you?
Absolutely. On the Blackmore shot chart, he's been fantastic as Chris Goulding acquaints himself to some starters.
Matthew Delavan over there as well with that's Delhi.
Oh, the angle of the camera, the angle of the screen.
No, it's Tatsunano, which is great to see. Here's the ladder with thanks to Mitsubishi Motors as it stands right now. Sydney in fourth, but Perth coming up next will take on the New Zealand Breakers, have a chance to jump them if they win today.
And Drew, United just continue to build on the wins. They've got 11 now and clearly separating themselves from the Breakers and the rest of the crew. Now look, Sydney got a run of home games coming up, which they can take advantage of and continue to climb that ladder.
They're the team to beat. There's no doubt about that. Melbourne United at both ends of the floor, they're excelling.
That is going to see us out from John Cain Arena. On behalf of Andrew Gaze, Derek Rucker, Steph Baumgartel, and our team behind the scenes, thanks so much for being with us this afternoon. It is Perth and New Zealand up next in the Hungry Jacks NBL.